My daughter-in-law banned me from the family vacation, so I made sure it never happened. It started on a Thursday afternoon. I had just returned from the grocery store, the bag still resting on the counter, when my phone lit up with a message from Lisa. She never called. It was always a short message, always just enough to tell me what I needed to do or where I needed to be. This one said, "Hey, just a heads up. We finalized the summer trip plans. It'll be me, Michael, the kids, and the Robinsons. We thought it'd be easier if you stayed home this year just to keep things simple. Just like that. No explanation. No apology, no invitation. Hold on a moment before we move forward. Let us know where in the world you're watching from. And if you're loving these stories, don't forget to hit subscribe. Tomorrow's episode is going to be absolutely mind-blowing." I stared at the screen for a while, not quite processing the words. I reread it 3 times, then set the phone down slowly, as if dropping it too fast would somehow make the message more real. Easier if you stayed home. It didn't say, "We'd love to have you, but," or "We're tight on space." It didn't even say, "Maybe next time." It was final. They'd already made the plans. I wasn't in them. When my son Michael came by later that evening to drop off a box of storage bins from their garage, I tried not to bring it up. I wanted to believe there was a mistake. Maybe Lisa hadn't meant it that way. Maybe there was more to the story. I asked him casually, "So, this summer trip, you all settled on a place?" He hesitated, just for a second, then nodded while fiddling with the lid of a box. "Yeah. Lisa's cousin booked the house in Destin. We'll be driving down with them." "And I'm not coming?" Michael shifted his weight. "Mom, we thought it'd be best if you took it easy this year. The drive's long and the house only has 4 bedrooms. Plus, the Robinsons are already locked in. Lisa just didn't want it to get too cramped." I nodded slowly, lips pressed together. "I see." He didn't look at me. He just reached for his keys, muttered something about traffic, and left. I stood there for a long time after he left. The house was quiet, the kind of quiet that feels like it's pressing down on your shoulders. I sat down at the kitchen table, next to the bags of groceries I'd never finished putting away, and tried to keep my hands from shaking. Cramped. That was the word they used, cramped. I had gone on every vacation with them since the twins were born. I was there when little Ellie got carsick all over the backseat in Florida. I was there when Henry fell and scraped his knee on that gravel trail in Tennessee, and Lisa didn't know what to do. I was the one who sat up with them when they couldn't sleep in hotel rooms. I was the one who cooked dinner when everyone was too sunburned to move. But now, I was cramped. Lisa had never liked me. She didn't have to say it. It was in the way she handed me things without looking. The way she made me feel like a guest in my own son's life. The way she only ever said thank you through gritted teeth. Michael used to defend her. Used to say, "She's just tired," or "You're reading into things." But over time, he stopped defending me, stopped noticing when she snapped at me for folding the towels the wrong way, or when she said I was spoiling the kids with too many hugs. I tried to stay out of the way. I didn't want to be a burden. I helped how I could, stepped back when I wasn't needed. I never raised my voice. I never demanded anything. I just wanted to be included, to be part of the family. My family. Didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed, the ceiling fan spinning slowly overhead, thinking about all the things I had given to them, all the sacrifices I had made, the time, the money. The way I dropped everything to help with the kids when Lisa got promoted and needed someone 3 days a week. I remembered the mortgage payments I helped cover when Michael lost his job during COVID. No one had asked me to. I just did it because that's what family does. Apparently, that wasn't enough. The next morning, I made coffee and sat at the table, alone again, the smell of bacon grease still lingering from breakfast. I opened my laptop and pulled up the documents for the beach house in Destin. I hadn't thought about it in years. When Michael and Lisa were first married, they couldn't afford vacations. I'd bought the house as an investment and let them use it every summer for free. I'd even added Michael's name to the deed because it made things easier with the taxes. At least that's what the accountant said. Back then, I trusted him. I still paid the property taxes. I still covered the insurance. Lisa never once thanked me for that. They just treated the place like theirs. Like it had always been theirs. That day, something shifted in me. It wasn't rage. It wasn't revenge. It was colder than that, more precise. I picked up the phone and called the property management office in Destin. I knew the number by heart. Lisa had no idea that every rental, every repair, every guest form still went through me. "Hi, this is Deborah Whitmore," I said, calm and clear. "I need to cancel the reservation under Lisa Whitmore. Family emergency. The house will be unavailable for the rest of the month." The woman on the line didn't question it. "Absolutely, Ms. Whitmore. We'll remove the dates right away." I thanked her and hung up. Then I sat there in the quiet kitchen, sipping my coffee. The window was open. I could hear the faint buzz of the neighbor's lawnmower and the clink of wind chimes from someone's porch. It all felt very far away. I didn't call Michael. I didn't explain. I didn't feel the need. I was tired of asking to be included. Tired of explaining myself to people who never saw me as more than a fixture in their life. Something useful, until I became inconvenient. 2 days later, I saw the fallout unfold in real time. Lisa posted a picture on Facebook, packed suitcases, smiling kids, captioned, "Road trip to the beach. Us family fun." 20 hours later, another post. This one was less cheerful. Change of plans, unexpected issues with the house, trying to find last-minute accommodations. The comments were full of concern and surprise. I didn't reply. Michael didn't call me. Not at first. But I knew it was coming. They'd be standing in the driveway of that locked house, 2 kids whining, luggage baking in the Florida sun, and eventually, he'd realize who held the keys. And I did. But I wasn't unlocking that door again. The call came 3 days later, around 6:45 p.m., just after I had finished washing the dinner dishes. I recognized the number before it even rang twice. Michael. I let it go to voicemail. I wasn't ready to hear his voice, not while my hands still smelled like dish soap and my chest still burned with that familiar tightness. But after the third missed call and one text that just said, "We need to talk," I finally sat down and listened. "Mom, I don't know what happened, but the house was locked. The code didn't work, and we couldn't get in." Lisa said she got a call from the rental company about some issue, but no one's telling us anything. If this was a mistake or something you did by accident, please let me know. We're at a motel right now with the kids. Just call me, okay? I didn't. I stared at the phone for a long time after that. The motel, that meant no beach view, no stocked kitchen, no private pool, just 2 screaming kids and the sharp smell of bleach and damp carpet. That was the vacation they'd decided to plan without me. It wasn't an accident. They knew I owned the house. Michael knew it. Even if he'd chosen to forget, to pretend it was his now, deep down he had to have remembered how it all started. I didn't just buy the beach house because I wanted a rental property. I bought it after my husband died. I needed something to keep me moving forward. I wanted a place where the family could go together every summer. A place that belonged to us. I never charged them to stay there. Not once. And when Michael asked if I could add his name to the deed, just to help him qualify for a business loan, I did it without hesitation. That was the kind of mother I was. But that trust turned into entitlement. They started using the house without asking. I found beer cans in the garden, broken blinds, sand in places there shouldn't have been sand. Lisa had her friends over. There more than I ever did. She once had a whole birthday party with 30 people, without telling me. When I asked about it, she said, "It's Michael's house too, isn't it?" Now, suddenly, I was too old to join their vacation. That night, I slept better than I had in months. The next day, I got a message from my granddaughter, Ellie. She's 8. "Grandma, why didn't you come? We missed you. trust you. That one almost broke me. I sat on the edge of the bed holding the phone in both hands, the screen glowing with her voice note. I could hear her in the background. Lisa, snapping at someone, and Henry crying about something. My throat tightened. They used those kids as shields. Michael and Lisa would paint it all like it was for the children. They'd say I was too tired, or needed rest, or couldn't keep up. But that was never true. I was the one who made their school lunches when Lisa worked doubles. I was the one who picked them up from daycare when Michael forgot. I knew Ellie's favorite bedtime story and how to make Henry eat broccoli without a fight. But now, I was suddenly inconvenient. I hit record and replied to Ellie's message with a soft, "Grandma loves you so much. I hope you're having fun." Then I sat in silence, wondering if Lisa would delete the message before Ellie could hear it again. The next message came from Lisa, this time through email. That alone told me she was angry. Subject: Beach House Situation, from Lisa Whitmore. To Deborah Whitmore. Deborah, I'm not sure what's going on with the Destin house, but I was under the impression it was booked for our family for the first 2 weeks of July. The rental agency said it was suddenly made unavailable due to a family emergency. Was that you? If so, I think it's only fair to let us know what happened. This has been incredibly stressful for Michael and the kids, not to mention me. I hope there's some kind of explanation. Lisa, no. Hi. No. How are you? Just a cold, clipped note, as if I were the housekeeper who canceled their dinner reservation. I didn't reply. Not yet. Instead, I logged into the online portal where I manage the property's rentals and payments. I clicked through the maintenance, records, repair invoices, the upcoming reservation schedule. It had all been under my name for over a decade, quietly, legally, entirely mine. The truth is, Michael's name was on the deed, yes, but it was still my asset. He never paid a dime in upkeep. I scrolled through the emails and found one from 6 months ago, where Lisa had messaged the agency directly and signed off as owner. She had no shame. She acted like she owned everything. My time, my help, my house. I printed it. The more I dug, the more I realized how many small lines they had crossed over the years. The birthday party without notice. The furniture Lisa moved around and left, damaged. The photos online. Lisa had posted videos of the beach house with captions like, "Our happy place." Never once did she mention who paid the taxes or kept the lights on when hurricanes hit the area. That's when I opened a folder on my desk. Inside it were copies of my living trust, the property documents, my financial accounts. I had made a mistake by giving Michael power over that house, but I could fix that. I called my attorney the next morning. "Janet, it's Deborah. I need to discuss a title transfer," quietly. She didn't ask questions, just said, "Come in tomorrow." While I waited for the appointment, I went through old photos, pictures from the first time we visited the beach house. Michael had just turned 30. He was holding Ellie as a baby. Lisa was barely smiling, more concerned with her sunglasses than anything else. I was the one who bought the matching swimsuits for the kids. I was the one who made the meals, who fixed the leaky faucet when the plumber didn't show. I had thought I was building a legacy, a place where we'd gather every year, grow older together, celebrate milestones. Instead, it had become another thing they used and resented me for owning. When I arrived at Janet's office, she was already reviewing the documents. "You want to remove Michael's name and place the property into the family trust under your sole control?" she asked. "Yes," I said without hesitation. "Are you expecting a reaction?" "Oh," I said, "I'm counting on it." "That." "Night," Michael called again. I answered. "Hi, Mom," he said. "Look, I'm sorry about the way things went. Lisa's just stressed. It's been a long trip. We didn't mean to exclude you." "You didn't exclude me, Michael," I said, voice steady. "You made a choice. I just responded." He was quiet for a beat. "So you did cancel the rental?" "I own the house," I replied. "It's within my rights." "I know that. But come on, Mom. You didn't have to go that far. No, I said. But I did. Because this time, I wasn't going to be erased and still hand over the keys. He didn't argue. Not really. Just exhaled heavily. I guess we'll have to talk about all this when we get back. Maybe, I said. Or maybe you'll just realize I'm not the one who needs to change. I hung up before he could answer. The house was quiet again. The only sound was the clock ticking in the living room and the soft hum of the refrigerator. I felt no guilt. Only clarity. And the strangest thing was, I didn't miss them. The first Monday after they got back, Michael showed up at my house unannounced. It was just after 11 a.m., and I was watering the plants on the front porch when I heard his car pull into the driveway. I didn't move. I didn't wave. I just stood there watching him climb out of the driver's side, his shoulders tense, his sunglasses pushed up into his hair. "Hey," he said. "Morning," I replied. My voice didn't rise. I didn't smile. I went back to watering the ferns. Michael stood awkwardly at the base of the steps, hands in his pockets. "We need to talk." I didn't respond. I let the water run for a few more seconds, then turned off the hose and looked at him. "You've got 5 minutes. He blinked. "Really? You're giving me a time limit now?" "Yes," I said. "Because if you came here expecting me to apologize or pretend nothing happened, then we're not having the same conversation." He stepped up onto the porch slowly. "Mom, come on. This is getting out of hand." "You're right," I said. "It got out of hand the minute your wife decided I wasn't worth including, and you didn't stop her." Michael rubbed the back of his neck. "Lisa didn't mean it like that." "Don't defend her. She sent a text, Michael, not even a phone call. Just a quick message to let me know I wasn't welcome. That wasn't an oversight. That was a choice." He looked down, jaw tight. "It was supposed to be a smaller group this year. A smaller group that included your wife's friends, but not your mother." He didn't have a comeback. Not a good one. "I built that house," I said, pointing toward nothing in particular. "I built that vacation spot with my money, my planning, and my time. I paid the taxes, the repairs, the upgrades, and every year I let you use it without asking for a cent. And when I say I let you, Michael, I mean I allowed it. Out of kindness. Out of love." "I know," he said. "I know that." "No," I said firmly. "You don't. Because if you did, you wouldn't have let Lisa talk about it like it was hers to offer." He sat down on the porch bench, leaning forward, elbows on his knees. "Look, the whole trip was a disaster. We had to cram into a 2-star motel for 4 nights. The AC barely worked. Henry threw up on the bed sheets the first night. Lisa cried every evening. The kids were miserable." "I'm sorry to hear that," I said plainly. "But it sounds like you made your choices." He let out a bitter laugh. "Yeah, well, it was a wake-up call." I stayed silent. "We can't undo what happened," he said, "but I'd like to move forward. Ellie misses you, Henry too." "Do they?" I asked. Because I didn't get any calls. Just one picture from Ellie. "Lisa hasn't spoken to me since she sent that email, and you waited nearly a week to come see me." Michael looked up. "What do you want me to say?" "Nothing," I said. "I'm not asking for a performance. I'm telling you that things are going to be different." He frowned. "Different how?" I opened the door behind me, walked into the house, and came back with a folder. I handed it to him. He looked inside, confused. "What is this?" "Copies of the updated documents. I've removed your name from the vacation house deed. It's now entirely under a trust in my name, with instructions for it to pass to the grandchildren directly when they turn 30. Neither you nor Lisa will have access to it again." His face went pale. "You're serious?" "As a heart attack. You can't just—" "I can. And I did. Your name was only on that deed because I trusted you. That trust no longer exists." He stared at the folder like it had slapped him. "Lisa's going to lose her mind. I'm not interested in Lisa's reaction." Michael stood abruptly. "So that's it? You're just cutting us out?" No, I said, standing too. I'm doing what you and your wife did, making decisions that I think are best for me. He narrowed his eyes. You really think this is healthy? What I think, I said, is that I've spent too long letting people take from me just because they thought I'd never say no. That ends now. He didn't say anything else, just walked back to his car, folder still in hand. He didn't slam the door, didn't yell. He drove away slowly, like someone leaving a courtroom after a sentencing. That night, I got an email from Lisa. It was short. Just one sentence. I hope you're proud of yourself. I didn't reply. Instead, I logged into my bank account and canceled the auto payment that had been covering Michael and Lisa's internet bill. Then I pulled up my utilities list and removed the emergency contact info that had Lisa's number listed for the house. I wasn't trying to be cruel. I was just removing them from the places they didn't belong anymore. The next day, I went into town and visited a travel agent. I booked a solo trip for myself, 7 days at a quiet resort in Arizona. Spa treatments, all meals included, no kids, no demands, no reminders of what I was no longer invited to be part of. Just me. When the agent handed me the itinerary, I felt something loosen in my chest. I didn't smile. I didn't cry. But I breathed deeper than I had in a while. I left the office and stopped by the bookstore on the way home. Bought 2 paperbacks and a new pair of sunglasses. Back at home, I poured a glass of wine and sat on the back porch. I watched the sky turn pink behind the trees and felt, not happy exactly, but clear. And that was enough for now. I didn't tell anyone about the trip. I didn't post about it, didn't send the kids postcards. I just went. When I returned, there were no messages waiting for me. No voicemails. Nothing from Michael. Nothing from Lisa. And I realized I didn't miss it. It had been quiet, peaceful. No one needed me. But more importantly, no one was using me. 2 weeks after I returned from Arizona, I received a call from the property manager in Destin. It was early in the afternoon and I was going through some old boxes in the garage when my phone rang. Mrs. Whitmore, this is Caleb at Shoreline Properties. I wanted to let you know someone tried to gain access to the beach house this morning. Set the box down. What do you mean, gain access? He cleared his throat. There was a couple, man and woman, both mid-30s. The man claimed he was part owner of the property. He was very insistent. Said there must be some mistake and that the code must have been changed accidentally. It wasn't an accident, I said flatly. That was my son and daughter-in-law. There was a pause on the line. Ah, that would explain his reaction. He looked surprised when I told him he wasn't on the lease anymore. His name isn't in our updated records. That's correct. It was a legal transfer. They no longer have any rights to that property. Caleb hesitated. I tried to stay professional, but he got upset. Said you were confused, that this was a family house. He said the property was always his. Not anymore, I said. If he comes back, don't let him in. And if he causes any trouble, call the police. Yes, ma'am, Caleb said. I've already made a note of it. I hung up the phone and stared at the boxes for a few moments, then turned around and walked back into the house. I knew this was coming eventually. Michael had been quiet since our last conversation. That silence hadn't meant acceptance. It had meant planning. Trying to get into the house without calling me first was just his way of testing boundaries, seeing if I really meant it. Lisa probably told him to just show up and deal with the consequences later. They were going to find out the hard way that I wasn't bluffing. That evening, I received a string of texts from Michael. Mom, what are you doing? You changed the locks. I was trying to take Ellie and Henry there for the weekend. We had already packed. Then a longer message. This is still partly my house. You can't just cut me out of it without at least talking to me first. I didn't want it to get to this point. But you're making things impossible. I didn't reply. Instead, I logged back into the property management portal and activated a security code alert. Every time someone tried to access the house using the old code, I would get a notification. The next day, I got 3 of them. Later that week, a letter arrived by mail, a real printed letter, with my address written in Michael's handwriting. I opened it at the kitchen table, half expecting a legal threat. It wasn't quite that, but it was close. Mom, I've spoken to a lawyer. We need to have a conversation about the property. I don't think it's fair for you to just remove my name after all these years. We've built memories there. It's not just about ownership. It's about what it represents to this family. You're making decisions like you're alone in this, but you're not. We're your family, whether you like it or not. I know things got tense after the trip, but this isn't the way to fix it. Michael, I folded the letter and put it in the drawer with the others. Emails, texts, voicemails. I wasn't going to respond emotionally. I was too old to be baited into some drawn-out argument over what was fair and what was owed. I had already spent years giving. Now, I was simply done. That weekend, Lisa showed up at my door. It was just after 10 a.m. I hadn't even had my coffee yet. She didn't ring the bell, just knocked hard 3 times, then stood back with her arms crossed. When I opened the door, she didn't wait to be invited in. I want to talk, she said, stepping into the entryway. I didn't say you could. Come in, she stopped. Seriously? After everything? You're going to treat me like a stranger? You are a stranger, I said. You've made that clear, she rolled her eyes. I didn't come here to argue. I came to get some clarity. Because right now, it feels like you're trying to blow up this family for no reason. No reason? I asked. You excluded me from a trip to my own property. You sent a one-line text informing me that I wasn't welcome. And when I held you accountable, you acted like I was being dramatic. I didn't think you'd want to come. You didn't ask, she sighed, her voice rising. Michael's devastated. The kids don't understand what's happening. Do you really want to be remembered as the grandma who blocked her own family out? I took a step closer. Do you know what I want, Lisa? I want to be treated like a person. Not like a free babysitter. Not like a bank account. Not like a burden. A person. She stayed quiet. I continued. I spent years trying to make you comfortable. Biting my tongue. Showing up when it was inconvenient. You never once said thank you. And when I finally drew a line, you tried to climb over it. I didn't think you'd take it this far, she said. That's the problem, I replied. You never think. You just assume. Lisa stood there, blinking fast. Then she turned to leave. But before she opened the door, she said, Michael's going to keep fighting this. You've started something you can't just walk away from. I looked at her squarely. I already have. She slammed the door on her way out. That night, I called my lawyer again. Janet, I need to prepare for the possibility that Michael might try to challenge the transfer. She sighed. Let me guess. He sent you a letter? And Lisa showed up on my porch. I'll pull everything together, Janet said. You have the paperwork? You have the dates? If it comes to court, you're in the right. I know, I said, but I'm not worried about winning. I just want it to be over. As we ended the call, I sat back in the armchair and looked around the living room, the same room where I had hosted every Thanksgiving for over a decade. The same room where Ellie had opened her first birthday presents, where Michael once fell asleep on the couch after a long shift, and I covered him with a blanket. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't even hurt. I was just finished. Michael and Lisa could spin the story however they wanted. They could paint me as cold, vindictive, petty. That was fine. Because I finally knew the truth. I had been generous. I had been patient. I had been loyal. And they had mistaken all of that for weakness. They wouldn't make that mistake again. The letter from Michael's attorney arrived the following Thursday. It came by certified mail, signature required. I had been expecting it. I didn't flinch when I saw the return address or when the mail carrier asked me to sign. I took the envelope, walked into the kitchen, and opened it over the sink in case I decided it needed to go straight into the trash. The letter wasn't aggressive, but it wasn't friendly either. It read like a warning, one that was meant to sound reasonable, but came with a clear undertone. They were exploring the validity of the deed change. They wanted to request documentation. Michael was hoping to resolve things amicably, but he also reserved his right to pursue a legal remedy. I folded the letter and placed it in the same drawer where the others lived. That evening, I called Janet. She was already aware of it. "They're testing your nerves," she said. "It's not a real threat yet, but I'll gather what we need. In the meantime, don't say anything to them directly. No calls, no texts, no emails." "Wasn't planning on it," I replied. The following week was quiet. No more visits, no more doorstep confrontations. Just silence. But silence from people like Lisa never lasts. It only means the strategy has shifted. It started with phone calls from numbers I didn't recognize. First it was Lisa's sister Jennifer, then a woman named Cindy, a mutual friend from Michael's old neighborhood. Then a woman I barely knew from church who just wanted to check in. They all had the same tone. Friendly, but layered with questions. How was I doing? Had there been a misunderstanding? Maybe something could still be worked out? One woman said, "You know, Michael always talks about how much you mean to him. He's just so heartbroken. I don't think this is what you really want." I hung up without responding. Then came the social media posts. Lisa posted a long caption beneath a photo of Henry and Ellie in front of their school, backpacks on, smiling. Even when things are hard, we keep showing up for our kids, for our family. Some people forget what family means. But we teach our children the value of love, not property. Family first. Some things money can't buy. The message wasn't subtle. The comments weren't either. "Stay strong, Lisa. You're doing the right thing." Some people just don't know how to be generous. "You're better off without the drama." I didn't reply. I didn't even click like. Instead, I opened my Facebook account, which I hadn't used in over a year. I posted a single paragraph. Nothing emotional, no names, no accusations, just facts. I've spent the last 12 years supporting a family that now claims I've turned my back on them. I gave time, money, and property, never asking for anything in return. But when they decided I was no longer useful, they tried to rewrite the story. I'm not telling my side for sympathy. I'm telling it because I won't let them control the version people hear. I'm done being quiet. By the next morning, it had been shared dozens of times. I received messages from people I hadn't spoken to in years, some supportive, some confused, some just surprised I was finally saying something. But I felt no regret. That same day, I went to the beach house. Hadn't been there in months, not since before the canceled vacation. The drive was smooth and the weather was clear. When I arrived, the exterior was just as I remembered. The shutters needed a fresh coat of paint, and the garden had a few weeds, but it was still mine. I walked through the house room by room, the Z. Bedrooms were still set up with the furniture I had picked. The kids' drawings still hung on the refrigerator. One of Ellie's crayon sketches of a crab wearing sunglasses, one of Henry's attempts at drawing a boat. I didn't take them down. I just stood there and looked at them. They were reminders of what the house had been meant for and what it would never be again. I went to the small closet in the hallway and opened the safe. Inside was the original deed, the insurance documents, and the updated trust paperwork. I double-checked every line. Michael's name was gone. Legally, he didn't have a leg to stand on. I locked it all back up and sat on the back porch. The sea breeze smelled like salt and sunscreen. For a while, I just listened. To the waves, to the birds, to the distant sound of kids laughing somewhere down the beach. My phone buzzed. It was a message from Ellie. "Grandma, can you come to my school?" "Play?" I stared at the screen for a long time. I didn't know if Lisa had seen the message. I didn't know if it was sent from her phone or if Ellie had her own device now. But it didn't matter. I typed a reply. "I'd love to, but maybe you should. Ask your mom first." The next day, Lisa posted another message. "It's amazing how people try to walk back into your life when you set boundaries. But we know who's really there for us." That was the breaking point for me. Not the words, but the shamelessness. The way she bent reality, twisted it, molded it into a story where she was the victim and I was some bitter obstacle. I went to Janet's office that week and had her update my entire estate plan. We created a scholarship in my name for single mothers returning to college. I redirected part of my savings to a local shelter. I opened 2 custodial accounts for Ellie and Henry, locked until their 18th birthdays. Every penny I would have left to Michael and Lisa was gone, legally redirected, locked in place. I want copies of everything, I told Janet, and I want it airtight. She nodded. It already is. On the way home, I stopped at a cafe and bought myself a slice of lemon pie. I ate it slowly, reading a book I hadn't touched in months. When I finished, I took the long route home, windows down, no music playing. There were no missed calls when I walked through the door. No texts. Just quiet. But for once, the silence didn't feel like something missing. It felt like space. I hadn't heard from Michael or Lisa in over a month. After the legal letters stopped and the social media jabs ran out of steam, everything settled into a strange quiet. No more guilt-laced voicemails, no more unexpected visitors, just the steady absence of people who used to rely on me but never really saw me. It was in that silence that I started living again. I changed my phone number. I notified the attorney, the bank, the property manager in Destin. I informed my insurance provider, the HOA, the investment firm handling the custodial accounts for Ellie and Henry. One by one, I removed every last backdoor they could have used to reach me when they felt like it. I wasn't isolating myself. I was reclaiming control. At first, it felt uncomfortable. I was used to being on call. For years, if the kids were sick, or if Lisa had to work late, or if Michael needed help with a bill, I was the one who picked up. I was the one who adjusted. I had been their cushion. Now I had removed the net. I spent more time at the beach house. Alone. I made a rule. No guests, no visits, no exceptions. It was mine again. Not because of a name on a document, but because I had remembered why I bought it in the first place. It wasn't for Lisa. It wasn't even for Michael. It was for me. A quiet place. A clean place. Somewhere untouched by their growing sense of entitlement. I didn't announce this change. I didn't send an update to anyone. But change has a way of leaking into places you didn't expect. One morning in mid-November, I got a letter. Not from Michael or Lisa. From Ellie. Chai. Was handwritten in pencil, folded neatly, addressed simply to Grandma. Inside it said, "Grandma, I miss you. Mom and Dad said we can't talk to you right now because you're angry. But I told them you weren't angry. I told them you're tired of being sad. I heard them fighting about it. Dad was yelling and Mom was crying. I don't know what's going on, but I hope I can see you again. I'm in the school play next month. I'm the tree. I don't have lines, but I get to wear green. Love, Ellie." I read it twice. I didn't cry. I didn't immediately reach for the phone or write her back. Instead, I folded the letter, placed it in a drawer, and sat in my chair by the window, the one that looked out onto the backyard. I sat there a long time. That night, I pulled out a blank card and wrote a note. "Ellie, I miss you too. I know things are confusing right now, but I'm proud of you. I hope you have a great time in your play. Being a tree is more important than people think. Trees stand quietly, even when the storm is loud. Love, Grandma." I mailed it the next morning, addressed directly to the school. I wasn't going to send it through Lisa or Michael. I couldn't trust them with something that small and important. 2 weeks later, I received another envelope. This one was a drawing. It showed 2 trees, standing next to each other, and a sun above them with a smiley face. At the bottom it said, "You're my favorite tree." That was the only message I needed. Around that time, I received a call from Janet. She told me Michael had quietly withdrawn his legal inquiry. There would be no lawsuit, no further claim to the house, no request for mediation. "It's over," she said. I didn't say anything right away. Then I asked, "Do you think he understood why?" "I think he understood you weren't going to back down," she replied. "That's enough." That same day, I logged into the custodial accounts I had created for Ellie and Henry. I adjusted the fund allocations, added an additional deposit, and wrote detailed notes for each child to be delivered when they turned 18. Not letters filled with nostalgia or regret. Just facts. What had happened. What I had done. Why I chose to protect what I had built, even if it meant walking away from the people who thought I never would. That weekend, I sat on the porch of the beach house with a cup of coffee and a file folder. Inside was everything I had documented since the day Lisa told me it would be easier if I stayed home. Every message, every decision, every expense, every change of ownership. Not out of spite, but because I knew someday one of those kids would ask me the truth, and I wanted to have it ready, simple, clear, real. Michael and Lisa weren't the villains of my story, but they weren't the heroes either. They were people who learned to depend on my silence, on my unwillingness to create conflict, and when I finally did, they didn't know how to respond. I never got a real apology, not from Michael, not from Lisa, and I stopped waiting for one. In early December, I took a short trip to Charleston, not for any particular reason. I walked the streets, visited the markets, sat alone at a restaurant table, and ordered whatever I wanted. I wasn't trying to prove anything to anyone. I wasn't healing or finding myself. I just didn't need permission anymore. The morning I returned home, I found a voicemail from Michael. "Hey, Mom. Just wanted to say I'm sorry for how everything happened, for not standing up when I should have. I know it's too late to fix everything, but Ellie talks about you every day. I don't expect you to call back. I just wanted to say it." I didn't call back. I didn't block the number either. I left it there. 2 days before Christmas, a delivery arrived. A small box. No note, no return address. Inside was a wooden ornament, a tree, hand-painted. The bottom had one word, Grandma. I placed it on my bookshelf. I didn't put up a tree that year. I didn't decorate the house. I didn't send cards or attend church socials. I spent the holiday at the beach house, just me, a quiet dinner, and the sound of the ocean through the windows. And I felt no sadness. For the first time in a long time, there was no pressure to perform as a grandmother, a mother, or anything else. I was just Deborah. No one had control over me anymore. Not through guilt, not through family ties, not through expectations. They had built their vacation without me. I had canceled it, but what they never expected, what none of them could understand, was that I wasn't punishing them. I was removing myself from the role they had written for me. And in doing that, I got something back I hadn't felt in years, myself.